So, Tefillin. You might have seen these before if you know anything about Judaism and their beliefs, particularly in regards to prayer. They're the little black boxes that are worn on the forehead and bicep. They're incredibly important and fundamental in the Jewish religion, and in this video, I'll go over them, what exactly they are, how they're made, and how to put them on. So, with that said, let's begin. In Judaism, there are many commandments in the Torah, many of which are pretty self-explanatory, do not murder, do not steal, that kind of thing, and quite a few of which are a bit more out of the ordinary, stuff like the laws of kosher. The mezuzah is a bit of an interesting one, but few are quite so unique and yet important as the obligation of Tefillin. The source for this commandment is obviously straight from the Torah, saying in Deuteronomy that you shall bind them as a sign upon your hand, and they shall be for a reminder between your eyes. The actual details of what this means and this practice are as follows. Most of the actual practicals as to how to fulfill this verse are sourced in the Talmud, and essentially the end result is as follows. During prayer for men over the age of 13, which is the age that boys become obligated in regards to the commandments, hence the bar mitzvah ceremony, a celebration at a Jewish boy's 13th birthday which celebrates this, some of the practices of which include things like the reading of the Torah, having a party and whatnot, but one of the most significant aspects of this is that of putting on tefillin for the first time. In fact, broadly speaking, the first time you put on your tefillin is just straight up considered your bar mitzvah, as that's predominantly one of the most important factors. As for the boxes themselves, there's a whole entire thing with pages upon pages of basically thousands of laws and particularities in regards to the exact craftsmanship of these boxes. The boxes themselves are made out of hardened leather, crafted into a box shape with a number of little slots or pockets with containment for small scrolls. In fact, as there are two types of tefillin, one for your forehead, as the verse says, as a reminder between your eyes, and one for the bicep, which lies against your heart when you wear it, hence as a sign upon your hand. The one for the head, or the shel rosh as they're called in Hebrew, has 4 slots, and the one for the hand, the shel yad, has 1 pocket. Inside of each of these slots is a number of scrolls containing select passages from the Torah, particularly verses containing the Shema, which is a fundamentally important prayer in Judaism, and a few others, mainly speaking about the Exodus from Egypt. These verses are written by a professional scribe with a very particular traditional font in black ink on handmade parchment from a kosher animal. The exact texts and letters of which are and must be written with extreme precision, as if there's even a single mistake made, the tefillin could be invalidated. So there are 4 separate of these little rolled up scrolls placed inside each one of these pockets inside of the head box, and all the verses are written on 1 sheet of parchment and placed inside the single slot of the hand one. In addition, there are those straps, which are also made of leather, which are placed on the head tefillin, and on the arm one, which are wrapped around and up your bicep, arm, and hand in a specific manner. There are several other particularities, things like the Hebrew letter shin is marked onto either side of the head tefillin, or the knots are tied in a specific manner, which makes each of them, along with some of the wrapping, form the Hebrew letters of God's name, among others. But that's the general gist as to what's going on with the craftsmanship of them. As for how to put them on, they are, as mentioned, worn by Jewish boys over the age of 13 and put on once per day at any point from sunrise to sunset. A blessing is said, which is this one right here, once you put them on, and then you say the Shema prayer, which, as mentioned, is a particularly important one in Judaism. Also, but as a bit of an interesting note, but these tefillin are actually only worn on weekdays and specifically not on Shabbos or holidays, although you might have thought otherwise. The actual process of putting them on is as follows. The hand tefillin is put around your bicep with the box facing your heart, at which point you say the blessing. Then you wrap it 3 times around your bicep, like so, and then 7 times up your forearm before wrapping it around your hand. The head tefillin are placed on your head with the box in front, resting in the center of the forehead, at which point you say the Shema prayer. There are many reasons why this is done, mainly from the actual biblical obligation, but beyond that, there are a number of more spiritual explanations, things like how placing one by our head, our mind, and our heart, which represents our emotions, show how we use these two in unity in the service of God in everything we do. But yeah, that's the gist of it. These are exceptionally important, in fact, to such an extent that there's a campaign instituted by the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson, about the importance about putting on tefillin, particularly with importance for the protection of the Jewish people, especially in Israel, which, when he instituted this, it was at the outbreak of the Six-Day War in 1967, so, of course, in regard to that, nothing has really changed. And of course, this still applies. In fact, it's customary for Jewish students in yeshivas, or Jewish rabbinical schools, to spend their entire Fridays walking around public centers asking people if they're Jewish and if they'd like to put on tefillin. So, yeah, it's a very important thing, and hopefully this video clarifies what's going on with that if you've ever been curious. With that said, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and yeah, have a good night.